What's going on, everyone? I'm Magically Average. That's Frankfurtter. This is BakaBites. And today we're talking about tourism, specifically in Japan, and how
Something I've never done.
everyone is ruining it for everyone else. So there's been recent news
Yeah.
coming out of Japan, basically ever since the pandemic and the travel bans were lifted, tourism has skyrocketed in Japan. To the point where now a lot of areas of Japan are realizing the downsides to having a lot of foreigners enter their country in the form of just pure lack of respect, we'll say,
Yeah.
which is really a shame. It's a real shame. So, leading up to our recording of this, we were kind of talking back and forth about the reasons behind the bans, and we'll get into them in specifics, but the theories that we came up with were basically during the pandemic, we saw this resurgence in people watching anime, buying manga. I mean, we had that major shortage of manga across all of North America, even some parts of Europe, probably in
Took forever
the
to find all of Fire Punch.
oh my god. Oh, yeah. I think it took me 7 months to get like all of the volumes.
Oh, it took me close to a year, yeah.
Yeah. Hell's Paradise was even longer for me, I think.
That too.
Surprisingly enough.
That was pretty difficult as well. But
Yeah.
anyways, moot
But
point
but that goes to the overall kind of discussion
conversation.
on this kind of revitalization of Japanese media and Japanese culture in North America and other parts of the world as well during the pandemic. And so once people started to go back outside, life transitioned back to normalcy to some degree. Still, there's, obviously we still have this weird like effects of the pandemic, since it honestly wasn't too long ago, but everything started to kind of transition back. And the one thing though that people took advantage of was travel, specifically to Japan. I think Japan over the last probably 2-3 years has seen a tremendous spike in tourism, just again from this fascination of Japanese media and culture. And you'd think that'd be a good thing, right? Like it would spark the Japanese economy. You would see more people purchasing Japanese goods, going there, basically being walking advertisements for here's why you should go to Japan. But the flip side's happening now where there's almost a just mob mentality effect of like everyone must flock to Japan and do the touristy things, and that's ruining it for everyone else. So the main ban that came out in recently was in Kyoto, in the Gion District, which is the famous area where the geisha walk, and they have the private showings and things like that. It's a very historical area of Kyoto. Tourists, I believe, officially as of this month, have been banned from certain areas due to the fact that they were being rude and taking pictures when told not to, and basically kind of pushing themselves in to try to get the best videos taken to post on social media, or the hottest pics to send over to Instagram or whatever. They basically were ruining it for everyone else to the point where the Kyoto government was like, nope, sorry, if you're foreign, you're not allowed.
Bye-bye.
Literally, we're putting up signs in areas that say if you cross this line, it's like I want to say it's like 100,000 yen, or no, 10,000 yen
10,000
fine.
yen fine. The signs will say in both Japanese and English that these are private roads and that those who walk on them will be fined 10,000 yen, US $68 based on current conversion rates. It's worth noting that the ban will be limited to certain private streets in Gion. In Gion, travelers will still be able to walk the public streets to visit popular tourist attractions, such as the 1,300-year-old Yasaka Shrine and the scenic Tatsumi Bridge. So it's basically like these small areas where there are businesses, but they are more so like they weren't necessarily tourist spots, but because of the age of social media and influencers, it's become a tourist spot. it's kind of like one of those things when you're watching an anime, like where uh trend center, I forget, I just influencer, I just blanked on the word influencer there. It's
Yeah.
been a long day, a long week already. It's like when like you're watching anime and an influencer takes a picture of like a tiramisu cup place, and then all of a sudden the next day there's a fuck ton of people that are lined up ready for tiramisu cups, and they're not ready for that volume. It's similar to that. It's
Yeah.
just these places aren't built for that type of thing, and with there being a language barrier and definitely a cultural barrier, which a lot of people don't take the time to research, it's caused a bunch of headaches. And to me, I didn't even hear about this one. The biggest one in my mind was that there is a Lawson's convenience
Yes.
store, Kombini. I don't know where it is, but it's a perfect fit for Mount Fuji, in which the top of Mount Fuji, the top of the building of Lawson's and Mount Fuji line up perfectly with one another. So it looks like Mount Fuji's coming up out of the top of Lawson's. It's become such a problem of people trying to take photos, which it's like, this is what I don't understand. Yeah, sure. In high school, I used to be the kid that would go to concerts and I'd record a song, but like I wouldn't be recording the entire concert. It's like, if a billion people have already taken photos of this, why do you need to take a photo of this? That's the thing that I
Yeah.
also just don't understand. But anyways, I digress. People have been taking photos and clogging this area of Lawson's and not actually shopping at the Lawson's, and just being a menace. There's a lot of there was vandalism, I think I heard, and a lot of trash being thrown around.
Yep.
That they're like, fuck it, nope, we're building a wall behind Lawson's to block the view.
Yep. I can give you a quick snapshot of exactly what happened too.
Yeah, please and thank
So the Lawson is in Kawaguchiko. God, I pulled a U. In the Yamanashi prefecture, where town officials had to make a very challenging and what, quote, agonizing decision to erect a massive barrier to block views of Mount Fuji after getting fed up with badly behaved foreign tourists dropping litter everywhere. It's
it's the United. It's Americans too.
yeah, yeah.
It's Americans. Like
Here,
we are the worst people when it comes to traveling.
it's disgusting. But here's
It really is.
the worst part of it all is like when they say they're going to erect a massive barrier to block the view, you think, okay, maybe they're going to put up like a fence maybe kind of around, like so that you don't get like a good picture or something to basically dissuade people from going there, right? This
Like
is
a 20-foot wall.
no, it's even worse
Oh.
than that. I didn't even know this until I read this just now. As a result, a black plastic sheet, 20 meters long and 25 meters high, is to be installed on the sidewalk in front of the viewing spot. It's going.
Jesus.
They made this decision a couple days ago. It's currently being worked on today as we speak, and will be done on May 2nd.
2.5 meters high and the length of a cricket pitch at 20 meters. Like that's not a small wall.
No, it's massive. It's
That
just
is
going to be this
massive.
big plastic sheet. Like that's it. Yeah. And so the origination too, the article goes on to say that it was in 2022, right after the pandemic kind of lifted and people started to go back. A foreign social media influencer posted a photo of Mount Fuji appearing on the roof of the convenience store, and it went viral. As a result, tourists began stopping by to snap photos of their own. So this is a couple conversation starters through recent news coming out of Japan regarding tourist bans. The first one I want to touch on is what you were kind of alluding to in the previous discussion on the bans in the Gion District, is that many tourists, and I will be calling out American tourists specifically because we are notorious when it comes to this,
Because we're awful.
as unfortunate as it is. Many tourists do not take the time to actually research into the culture and the mannerisms of the country that they're going to, right? And that is a huge factor whenever you travel. Like the biggest thing for me whenever I'm traveling to a country that I've never been to before is, okay, yes, I want to learn some just getting around phrases. That's kind of a basic. But more importantly, I want to know how I should behave. what are typical mannerisms that I'm used to in public that might be frowned upon in this country? Vice versa too. Like, what are some things that I probably would look at and go, I don't know if that's appropriate, but it is in this country, like in this culture. I do research to ensure that I'm not going to stick out like a sore thumb. Like, my mentality when I travel is I try to assimilate as best as possible so as not to be a burden wherever I'm going. Like, I don't want to be a walking just danger sign for people to avoid. I want to try to actually get acclimated to the culture and the society and not just stick out like a sore thumb, right? But most of the people traveling, as is clear from the recent bans, do not do this. And they abuse wherever they go just because they're like, why would I go out of my way to change my manners when I'm just here visiting? I'm going to go back home. Like, there's no point, right? And that's
Like,
such
I'm giving you money, you bend to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a toxic mentality too, to go and treat a country that is welcoming you in to be like, this is just going to be like a stomping ground for the next week. So I basically going to throw caution to the wind and do whatever the hell I want. Like, it's such a poor mentality too. And I saw this when I traveled for school. So when I was in law school, I went to Japan for a month, and like the whole second half of my first semester, actually that was confusing to say, the second semester of my first year, that makes more sense. When I learned I was accepted into the program, I was like, all right, cool. Whenever I have free time, either after studying or on weekends, I'm going to try to practice Japanese. I'm going to learn about Japanese culture. I'm going to ask my professor, who had been going there for, I think, like 13 years at that point, like what mannerism, like what I should be doing to prepare myself, because it was going to be the first time I was going to be traveling alone to a foreign country, especially somewhere that far away from home too. Like, it was going to be 18, I think, total hours of travel time due to having to hop planes, and like it was going to be a whole whirlwind of an event. So I was like, I want to prepare myself as best as possible. And I went there, and that's all I did. I was like, I'm going to just ingrain myself in the culture. Like, this is exactly what I want to do on a trip like this. And on top of
the culture not being anime titties.
Right. Yes.
Let's just put that out there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That was honestly the only like kind of nerdy thing I did there was I went to the manga museum in Kyoto. Most of my time traveling around, I went to shrines, a lot of historical locations, just kind of explored. All of the weeb stuff I did with my wife when we went there for our honeymoon. but so like that was my approach going in. And then I had classmates and other people that were traveling for the study abroad who were just like, after class, I'm going to go get hammered and I'm going to go walk around the streets and be a fucking nuisance. And I'm like, you are the type of people that I really wish would just get thrown in jail here. Like, just a total, just have fun in a foreign prison, bitch. Cause, you don't deserve to walk around like that. Like, it was so disgusting to see at times, to the point where I had to just remove myself from groups of people and just be like, nope, I am going on my own. I can't be associated with this, because there were situations just walking around where I'm like, people are looking at us as if we are like animals at a zoo. Like we're a walking exhibit just flooding the street. And I was like, I felt so gross. And to the point where I'm like, nope. Have to remove myself. Goodbye. I am leaving. So yeah, it's that aspect of it is just what's really frustrating me at the most part, is that people just go to countries like Japan and many other countries around the world too, and take the opportunity to just be degenerates. And it's what's led to the bans.
Like, you can have fun, but do your research as to make sure that you're considerate while having your fun. Like, I mean, for somebody who's never been to Japan but has done a lot of research on it and wants to go, like, there are things I know that most people don't. Like, if you take a train anywhere, shut the fuck up. Don't fucking talk. Even if you're whispering, you got to keep it to a minimal. Just text. Don't talk. Nobody likes to hear you talk. Nobody wants to hear you talk. Nobody wants to hear anybody talk on the train. They are like, that is their moment to get into the zone. They're like, fuck, I gotta go to work, or fuck, I gotta go home. Like, Just let them be tranquil, let them have their peace and time and just thoughts to themselves and don't interrupt it.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to look at you if you go on a train and you start talking, let alone if you're on a phone call and just like, you can't be the person at Walmart who's on their fucking speakerphone while just talking in the middle of Walmart. Like, you can't do that anywhere, let alone train or anywhere. Just don't.
Well, and so yeah, I think that brings up a good point too, which is the American culture is
Wild.
Yeah, it is pure chaos because the United States is an incredibly large country compared to most other countries. Japan is about the size of the East Coast, just landmass wise. That doesn't factor in the habitable areas of Japan. Like Japan is 70% mountainous to the point where most of the region is not habitable. So you're talking, and I think the total population of Japan is roughly like 80 million people, right? The US is right around like 335 million, okay? So the US has roughly 3.5 times as many people, but like an incredibly large like multiplier of land mass, okay?
125.1 million as of 2022.
Oh, really? 125 million? Okay, so
125.1 million in Japan.
So 2.5 times the United States is 2.5 times larger in terms of population, but like land mass is I want to say it's like over 100 times bigger, like easily. Like it's a very stark difference. So this is all to say though, like everywhere you go in the United States, the quote unquote culture is insanely different. Like the Midwest, the South, the West Coast, the East Coast, like everyone has different mannerisms. Everyone has different just cultural nuances that it's very hard to try to decipher. Most countries are more homogenous in the sense that like there's just given manners and given like ways to behave that people sort of abide by. It's not this kind of pick and choose based on like, well, now I'm in the South, and you find the stats. I see your face.
You want to know how many times bigger United States is than Japan?
I said 100 times at least, so I'm gonna go because of your face. I'm gonna say 280.
No, you're way off. It's 26 times bigger.
Oh, 26 times bigger. Okay, I'm incredibly off, but still. Population, like the difference in population size compared to landmass is drastically different.
Yeah. But this all goes to say, like, if you are going to Japan, do your research. So there's the things like the train. If you are going there for social media type stuff, know that nobody wants to be on film. Nobody wants to be on film. If you're in the middle of the street, you have to blur people's faces out because they don't want to be on like the internet. But also, if you're planning on going inside a restaurant or a manga cafe or anywhere, go in, ask if you can film in there, and if they say yes, then do the appropriate thing, go back out to your intro, whatever, and go in and be respectful while you're doing it. And if they say no, respect it and just don't film.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of places that won't let you film, like, in general, even if you ask. So it's just one of those things, like, if you're doing things, do the research to make sure that you can do it and be respectful about it. God, I can't even think of what else. Like, I know that their trash is so much different than ours. Like,
oh yeah,
learn what you need to do for trash. Like, that's
a whole thing. And I will say too, like the point I was trying to get at before, and I was doing a really bad job of finally getting there. It was taking probably the longest trip possible to get there. The point I was trying to get at was very small things, like what we would imagine as being like insignificant mannerisms that people are just like, you should do this. It's like, wow, who really fucking cares, right? They are really meaningful, and it should be respected. To like exactly to what you were saying with public transit, like be quiet, hush. If you are sneezing or sniffly, even like wear a mask. Like put a mask on. Like it's stuff like that. Even to the point of like when you are getting food or getting drinks, if you are getting like something from a vending machine or something from like a vendor that's outside, right? Don't eat and walk. Don't drink and walk. You are supposed to stand still. Like it's just a part of the culture that the reason that you do this is because you want to show respect for whoever made the food for you. To the point
Yes,
where
and
you're not going to be walking around and carelessly eating it and making a mess. They want you to sit still and enjoy it and not be like on the move, go, go, go. Like, but people just look at that and they're like, who cares, right? Like, I'm not Japanese. It's like, it's not about you being of a certain nationality. It is about you respecting that nationality. And
yeah,
that lack of respect is what's really frustrating.
and more on food, and this is just a really specific one, but like again, it's pretty important to point out. And if you don't know, if you want to go to a small ramen shop because they have good ramen, you can slurp your noodles.
Yeah.
That is encouraged.
It's a sign
But
of
also,
respect.
it is a sign of respect. But also, when you go there, don't talk to your friends. If it's a small place, they need to get people in and out. So you eat your food and you get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You don't sit there, you don't gab with your friends, you don't eat your food and then just take a load off, drink some water, and
Yeah.
fucking decompress. No, you eat your food and you leave
Yep.
because they've got such limited spots there that they need to put more butts in seats.
Yep.
But I know there was another point that I was gonna make, but I completely forgot.
I mean,
And so,
it's like all the pieces that we're talking about too are just things that we have learned over time or read about or researched, right? And it's those small bits of effort that make a meaningful impact whenever you travel somewhere.
right,
Like
and
even
the thing I forgot that I was gonna say is do the saying. When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
yeah, exactly. Like I know, and you mentioned before too, like just when like people in Japan, like they don't want to be on film. They don't want to be a part of your pictures. They don't want to be a part of your TikTok, right? And it's not that they're being rude. It's Japanese people are very much more reserved. Like they are more independent. They don't want to be like they're not very extroverted in the sense of they're not gonna like just go out and like be like, hey, yeah, I'll be a part of you, or like, yeah, I'll just show you around. But they are polite. So if you need help, most people will help you. If you are like, I need to find something, most people will direct you to it, right? It's not like like the best example I can give is being from the Midwest, walking around. You could just be walking through a parking lot and you go, how's it going? Like just some random stranger. And then it goes, good, you? And that's it. That's the whole exchange, right? You don't respond. It's just a, hey, how's it going? Good, you? You don't respond to that last part. You just leave it at that. That is the Midwestern hello, okay? That's not, they don't do that in Japan. Like it's not common to just start a conversation with a stranger out of nowhere. Like even if it's just a hello, like it's just not normal. But again, it's not them being rude. That's just not how they are culturally. Like it's just not a part of how like their day-to-day mannerisms, right?
Right.
So it's just small things like that again, it really does make an impact on when you travel. And it's clear from the Gion District band and especially the Lawson's band in the I can't remember the prefecture, and I don't want to bring my phone up anymore. The Lawson's band by the Mount Fuji. It's clear that those are situations where it's just tourists going and being just that. They're being tourists, right? They're not trying to enjoy the culture. They're not trying to assimilate in any way. They're just like, I am American. I'm only here for X amount of days, and that's it. I really don't give a crap one way or another. And it's just sad. It's just sad because it ruins it for everyone else. So now you have a band in Gion District. The Lawsons is putting up this disgusting black plastic wall.
Which is the Yamanashi prefecture in the town of Fujikawaguchiko.
Yeah, thank you. You said it even better than me. That's surprising. We flip-flopped today.
Yes, we have. No, and like the last thing that I do want to point out, and I don't know necessarily, they didn't really give a reason. Maybe I just didn't read it correctly, but one of the other big things that they're doing, which isn't, I guess it is a 50% cut essentially, is that Mount Fuji. You could just go to Mount Fuji and climb Mount Fuji and whatnot, and roughly about 7,000 of people last summer were doing it every day. They are now limiting that to 4,000 people a day, and you have to pay like 2,000 yen.
Yep.
Like I'm not sure. I have to read more into this as to why they're doing that, but it's in the same article as the Gion District ban. So it's just one of those things that it's just like, stop ruining it for the rest of us,
Yeah,
please. Like, do your fucking research if you're gonna go there, and be respectful. Don't be a dickhead.
yeah. I mean, and it's the same type of respect that I think most everyone would appreciate as an American too, right? Like there are plenty of cities in the United States that get tons of tourists, and we expect the same level of behavior and good manners that we show when we're visiting as well domestically. So it's very odd to see that kind of fly out the window when it's like, well, if we're traveling internationally, who gives a hoot?
Yeah.
The world doesn't work like that, right? So it's just very sad to see, but the hope is that as tourism continues to grow in Japan, because it is becoming a large part of their GDP, clearly over the last like 3 years, that people start to develop better approaches when they travel. People start planning more. People also realize that Japan is not just Mount Fuji and a Lawson picture and the Gion District and the Kiyomizudera in Kyoto, or like the Tokyo Sky Tree, right? Hopefully people realize that there's much more to offer in Japan. Like when I visited for school, I was there for an entire month in Kyoto. I never left the Kansai region. I went to Osaka like 3 times and Kobe once. I spent most of my days in Kyoto. I truthfully, for the amount of traveling I did around, which was frequent, I
Mhm.
probably explored 5% of what Kyoto has to offer. And I went to roughly 20 to 25 temples. I climbed 2 mountains. Like I did a lot, but I probably only explored 5%. Like that's just how massive it is. So all the pictures that you see on Instagram and all the videos you see on TikTok, like, yeah, they're good, but just know there's so much more to offer there. These
Yep.
areas are just getting flooded with tourists. I saw a picture or video of Fushimi Inari, which is the famous mountain in Kyoto that has all of the torii gates going up the top of the mountain. It's the Fox Temple. And yeah, disgusting how many people are there. And they just take pictures, take selfies, like in the middle of people, like, hey, ho, how's it going? I'm here doing my TikTok. Ignore the thousands of people behind me trying to get by me. Ha ha ha. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's frustrating.
Last thing before we go,
Yeah.
I read while you were talking, I read why the Fuji thing was happening. It was happening more so because of human traffic jams, and also the fact that the most popular base station last summer saw 4 million people. So it was just a huge traffic jam of people. They left garbage everywhere, and then um, they actually have plans for what they want to do. Like they're having a fee that is going to be incurred for whomever wants to climb Mount Fuji, and they actually have plans for what to do with that money, in which they're going to hire guides and hire other just basically specialists to deter tourists who have come unprepared,
Hmm.
because people come showing up like wearing the wrong clothing, wearing the wrong shoes, wearing just doing things incorrectly before they've even started climbing. And because last summer they had 61 emergency calls because people were ill-equipped and ill-prepared. Because people were so dumb. So they're gonna, like, you know what? With the money, we're gonna put the fee in, and with that fee money, we're gonna hire people to just like help you motherfuckers. Help you not be dumbasses.
I it's funny because when you said there was 61 emergencies, the picture that came to my head was it like the standard rescued person was a gentleman with a Bucky's t-shirt, cargo shorts, sandals with socks,
Oh,
and
I was
just
thinking the
like
dad shoes.
no, because dad shoes are good. Like you get the fucking New Balances or the Skechers, like those, dude. No joke. My feet were about to fall off my body from the amount of walking I did with when my wife and I were there for our honeymoon. I went to a mall near our hotel, went to the Skechers store, and was like those, and They were a lifesaver. Those things carry.
Like,
no,
yes.
they're not. They're like all white. They got the Goodyear tire fucking soles
God,
for the extra grip.
You really are
Those-
a 40-year-old man.
Those are legit. I love them so much. When I came back, I got another pair just in a different color.
Oh, you sad, sorry sap.
But yeah, I mean, it's so positive take from that is rather than the government officials being
Enforcing all this
like,
stuff and just being negative Nancy's about it.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're gonna do something positive. We're gonna help whoever comes here, and hopefully make sure that they're not dumbasses.
well, and it's not even that they would be negative Nancy's too. I mean, the government officials would be well in their right to just say, hey, you have to take a test before you can climb this mountain. Like it's not just a mountain, right? It's a mountain. Like it is not. It's something you just kind of nonchalant walk up, right? Like it's a trek, right? They could have done that. Then like if you're a foreigner, no, you got to like pass this test. But instead, they're like, no, we would want to encourage people to still explore the area and obviously have an experience of a lifetime by climbing Mount Fuji. We're going to have trained professionals take you up and guide you and teach you through how to prepare yourself for climbing the mountain. Like that shows positive, like a positive approach. And the hope is that we don't abuse the niceties that are being handed off. It's like Japan's basically like, all right, warning, but we can't be mad at you too long. You're just too cute. And then they bite their fucking hand off. They're like, all right, fuck you. No more. You get no more Mount Fuji. No more Lawsons. No foreigners in a law. If they came out and said
no Mount Fuji, nothing.
If they came out and said foreigners aren't allowed in Lawsons, I might actually cry. Like those are the best stories. And you all are the best fans. Thank you all for listening to this week's podcast. If you enjoyed it, be sure to reach out to us and tell us why you enjoyed our blabbering buffoonery and talking about things that we kind of know what we're talking about at times. You can do that by following us on all of our socials at Baka&Co Podcast or at Baka&Co News on a few of them, like TikTok and Instagram for some reason. We did not fix that yet. Spoiler alert. You can also go to our Discord, which is in our link tree as well, and you can connect with us there. You can also share your thoughts the old school way by not pigeon mail. You can, though. We're welcome to that. But you can go to our email at bakacopodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, I was like, what kind of pigeon is that?
That's a crow.
Okay.
Also, because I know you don't have this in your script, if you're in the Atlanta area on Memorial Day weekend, we're going to be there, and we're going to be hosting a panel on Saturday, the 25th or 24th, and you were giving me the face as if you were going to say that.
I was getting through it, but that's okay. Yes, we're going to be panelists.
We're going to be panelists. 8:30 on Saturday, the 25th.
And we'll be there all weekend, and we might have a surprise one day that some of you might enjoy, some of you might find very disturbing. Well, that's kind of up to the public to decide.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, too.
But yes, we hope to see you all at MomoCon. And again, thank you all for listening. We will be back next week for another episode. But until then, take care, and we'll see you then.